What up, movie fans? And here again, Juan Rico with a quick review of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And I'm gonna be really honest about this movie. I've been getting a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people that I watch say that it lacks a lot in this movie, and others saying this movie is fantastic, has a lot into it, and all that. So my expectations were high, then it went low. Then my expectations, just right in the middle. Um, so basically when I went to this movie, I mean, I didn't have too much high expectations. I just wanted to, be a good movie and hopefully, have that high that I got from the first movie of Black Panther. And needless to say, in this movie, I don't get it. I don't get that pride in this movie like I had in the first one. This movie lacks a lot and throws a lot of things in this movie that is not necessary. So I'm not going to spoil nothing in this movie, but I'm going to say a lot of things that I did not get from this movie. When the movie first comes on, and this is not a spoiler. I mean, we all know that Chadwick Boseman or T'Challa, the Black Panther in this movie, of course, passed away. But I'm in this movie. Basically, they don't say what he happens to him. Just some illness, and that was it, and it goes by so fast. It goes by way too fast. We understand in real life we mourn, Chadwick. But in this movie, you don't get that. This movie is like, okay, first opening scene, something's happening, he's sick, and that's it. As we seen it, we saw in the trailers of them dancing and his funeral and everything, and that was it. You don't really get it nothing in this movie that is mourning him. You don't get anything that's showing more about him. You don't even get nothing in Wakanda or showing or seeing how the people in Wakanda are feeling. You don't get none of that. This is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but you don't get enough Wakanda in this movie, and it feels very hollow because if he meant a lot to them, and if he meant a lot to them, you would get more of Wakanda. You get more people in the city, the citizens, and how they're feeling and how sad they are. But no, you don't get none of that. It was one and done, and that's it. They don't give enough homage in this movie for him what he brought for the city. You didn't get none of that. It was very weak, and I felt that was just very lazy and just not and it's not paying Chadwick or T'Challa any respect in this movie. Now Shuri, of course, she the person uh the acting with Shuri was phenomenal. Angela Bassett, phenomenal. The acting was done very well, but everything else just felt very hollow. The action in this movie, there's one good action scene. You see Okoye on the bridge. That's the action scene. That in the trailer, that's the action scene. That's the best one. After that, nothing. This movie is 2 hours and 41 minutes long, and you get one best action, and that's it. And honestly, Black Panther, you do not get Black Panther in this movie until the last 15 minutes. If that's a spoiler, I'm sorry. Whatever. Because I'm not happy with this movie at all. This movie is not a bad movie, but this movie is not as good as the first one. It's nowhere near good as the first one. This movie leaves you hollow, leaves you unfulfilled. I felt just very drained. I felt like it took 2 hours and 41 minutes out of my life of this movie. I'm gonna give you enough. Riri Williams. I mean, she's a cool actress, but it was no point in having her in this movie. She was useless. Okay. Yes, she is smart, but Shuri is the smartest person in the MCU. She's smart because you can see in the movie at times that as they're talking together, they finish each other's sentence because they know what each other's talking about. So you did not need Riri in this movie at all. It was no point having her in this. That was lazy. They just threw her in here in this movie just to have her, just to push a narrative for them to have their TV show that's coming out, and that's it. There was no point in having her in this movie. Her costume, her whatever you call it, as we see you seen it everywhere. I didn't like it. I felt like a little ant. It was pointless. It was pointless. And Baku in this movie, and Baku was awesome in the first one. He was a badass. He was like, I didn't take no crap, but he still respect T'Challa. He still respect Black Panther, and he respected the old ways. And in this movie, nothing. In this movie, basically, he has his moments of being wise, but that was very slim to none. I wanted more from that. It's like I said, I'm not going all over this place, but this movie it's not a it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a bad movie, but it's not the movie that you would expect from this after watching the first one. When you watch the first one, you was like, okay, I'm gonna get some of this, some fulfillment of pride. You don't. The women in the movie are badass. Of course, we already knew the Dora Milaje was badass. We knew that from the first one. We knew they were badass. And that's awesome. But you even get a small amount of that in the movie. Now Namor. Uh, I think Namor, it was just too over. It was too much. I felt like the way, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but the way how his story comes, it was so weak. The way how he gets his powers and how they form, where they come from, is so weak. It was just written there, boom. Like, let's write this in here. Let's see. Okay, he gets this. This happens, and that's it. And that's all you get. Man, the story is nice, but the story felt lazy. Felt just easy. Let's go ahead and just write this person here so we can have another character of color, which I like all of that. But when you just shoehorn that person in this movie, and you don't give enough from this, and the way he gets his powers and the way this happens and their ancestry was lazy, and it was not needed. And this movie just felt rushed. I felt like they didn't take their time to really how to respect Chadwick, how to respect Black Panther, because you don't get Black Panther in this movie at all, not too near the end. If that's a spoiler, I'm sorry, but because I just want nobody to waste their time, because you feel like when you read Black Panther Wakanda Forever, yes, we know that the Black Panthers passed away, but there should have been a better way to fill those shoes right away. We can't, you just can't have no Black Panther just for a certain amount of time and nothing happens. I just felt like that was lazy. This It just felt this movie didn't know what it was. It didn't know what it was. It didn't. Like I said, Shuri did a fantastic. Shuri, her grief, her depression, losing her brother, fantastic. But as you know, Shuri didn't never respects their traditions. She never respected their history, and she never believed none of it. She didn't believe none of it. So as you watch this movie and you know this from her, and the things that happen, you feel like, why? Why? Like, why? And my thing is, if you have people in this movie that respects tradition, respects the ancestors and all that, then why wouldn't that person get the mantle, or why that person will get a chance to prove themselves? They don't. This movie felt like it was just paint by numbers. Let's put some cool action. Let's make sure our women are shown powerful, which they are. But that's it. You don't get enough grief in this movie to build up to what's going to happen. Namor is the one anti-hero type of person that I felt like it was just very rushed. Felt like he had to be such an antagonist, which it was not really necessary. His point of being upset, I can understand, but it's not valid enough for him to be acting the way he is in this movie, and it threw me off a whole lot. And I just felt like this movie could have waited to come out, but of course they couldn't wait because Marvel's on a timeline. Marvel's on this line, like this has to come out at this certain time. So it didn't give enough time for people to sit back and actually write this. Like, you can tell the movie was rushed, and I just felt like that they didn't show no respect to this. There was like no respect to Black Panther, no respect to Chadwick on how he presented this, because everybody was loving it. Little kids, boys and girls, adults doing the hand signs and everything. No, you don't get none of this from this movie. You don't get none of that. And I felt like I felt wasted. I felt gypped in this movie. Yes, I wanted T'Challa to be recast, but I still had an open mind to see how they would do it. And in the way they done it, I felt like they failed and they dropped the boat on this, and they should have recast it. Even more, watching this movie, they should have recast this movie. They should have took time. They should have waited. But of course, with their phases, they couldn't. They wanted this movie rushed out. They wanted it out there so they can move along their narrative of other movies that's coming out. This movie is weak. This movie is almost bad as Thor. There's a Love and Thunder God, whatever that last Thor movie was. That movie was. I think I'll probably watch that movie again before I watch Black Panther, maybe. Because Black Panther, you don't get Black Panther movie. You just get a bunch of colorful scenes, um, colorful costumes, things like that. That's all you get. A lot of colorful things. That's all you get. You don't get nothing. You don't get nothing else. You don't get nothing that weighs enough for the certain plots to happen in this movie. I just felt disappointed. I felt gypped. But like I said, the beginning movie's 2 hours 41 minutes long. The part for uh, T'Challa or Chadwick's character to go through and pass away is about 6 minutes. And that's all, and that's it. You don't get nothing else for you to mourn or feel depressed in this movie. They don't give you because I feel like they were using Chadwick's death for us to feel the emotion in the movie, and that's some bullcrap that they were trying to do that because I can separate real life in the movie. And in the movie, if you need me to really be upset, you need to give me more. You need to give me like what's going on, the reasons why, how hard did they try for this person? No, it didn't. They kind of used it. They kind of used how Chadwick used his real life, where he didn't tell nobody his issues. That's kind of how they used it in this movie, and I feel like that was just sorry as well. I mean, I can go on, but it'll be more spoiling it. But this movie is nowhere good as the first one. You felt the 2 hour 41 minutes. You felt it in this movie. The pacing is just so long. You like, oh my goodness, this movie is feeling this 2 hours and 41 minutes. You felt it in this movie. But like I said, this movie it might please people where how beautiful it is, colorful it is, all that, but the meat of it about Black Panther, the meat of it that you want to see a hero on the screen or show what they're going through, what's needed, things like that. Like I said, you get Angela Bassett, and you get it from her acting and how she is, and she's upset. You love that. Like that one, there's one scene, when she's speaking, and I almost teared up because how she was feeling. But that was it. I should have that feeling from the start of the movie as it's going through and it's building up and it's building up. Like it did. You don't even have to have Black Panther in the movie at the beginning. Even though he's at the end, I should have that built up. I should have that anguish, and I don't get none of that. And you had little chuckles here and there, and it was kind of corny. But this movie is missing a whole lot. This movie is very hollow. It's very lazy, and they hope by just the colorful and the blasting and all that, and maybe Namor's or story will grip you, and it doesn't. It doesn't grip you. Namor's it doesn't. I mean, yes, we understand that colonizers and things like that, but I feel like they're just using that just to try to get us in the movie, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. I like, us as black people, we know our history. We know what we come from and what happened, and colonize things like that. We don't have to have that force in our faces all the time. We understand. Let's move on from that and let's get to the bigger picture. Chad was, Black Panther's death. What's moving on? Who wants to move on? Who wants to take up the mantle? Things like that. And it would be better if it had some people that want to take up the mantle. Bring other names in here. Namor wasn't even not necessary. There's so much in the Black Panther comic books they could have bought in this movie, but they didn't. But like I said, I'll end it right here because this is just I'm going from the rant. But this movie, it's hard for me to say, but this is not a good movie. This might be a good movie for the MCU to move along their agenda of what they're trying to push out, but a movie itself, this is not a good movie. I can think out of A, B, C, D, E, F, like out of that, I give the movie a C minus, but I'm almost going down to a D because how hollow is making me feel right now. But yeah, I think I'll probably give this movie close to a D to a C minus. So out of a 1 through 5, I give this movie probably a 2. But yeah, this movie is not a good movie. It's probably a decent Marvel movie to move along their agenda, but a movie all around that you want to get something from this movie, no. This is not a good movie. But I'll leave it at that because if I keep going on, I'll probably go into spoilers. But I didn't enjoy it. Movie was very hollow, very quick. Didn't take their time. Didn't know built up. Just this thing's thrown in to make it look nice and pretty, and that was it. But tell me what you think about this movie. You enjoyed it? Hey, that's you. I didn't. That's you. If you enjoyed it, fantastic. Tell me what you liked about the movie. If you didn't, tell me what you didn't like about the movie. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you like and share. But until the next big movie, peace.